Hi everybody, I hope that you're all doing well. We're here with a timeless reading. The first card that we have out is Ten of Cups. We also have Ten of Swords. Interesting to see both of these energies here. Seven of Pentacles, Death card. In a way, because we're starting off with Ten of Cups, this feels like there's a focus on what genuinely feels aligned for you, and Ten of Swords is feeling like what's going on that's not aligned with that, and what may be difficult to do, what may be difficult to say, what may be difficult to actually close out or let go of or release, but that needs to be done because it's no longer that truth for you anymore, that deeper truth for you anymore. It's no longer that emotional truth for you, or it's no longer that... Ten of Cups is that feeling of things are good like this. I don't need something to change. This feels sustainable to me. There is like genuine joy that I'm feeling within this, appreciation, gratitude, and compatibility. I feel like that part is important when it comes to speaking about things, because we can always make do, right? You can find moments of joy in something that doesn't feel compatible with you. You can always also find moments of disdain or feeling uncomfortable. I think that ultimately when we're speaking about something that we have this sort of like internal standard that we are comparing something to, and do those things actually align? Yes, you can make something work, but does it actually work? And so having this Ten of Swords here is feeling like if something's not really measuring up, now that you're thinking about, like, I want to feel good on the inside. It's not just about what looks good externally anymore. This is about me feeling good within this. Having Ten of Swords here feels like these are things that, again, are difficult to do, but they must be done in this imperative when you are pursuing the Ten of Cups. We also are putting a focus on Seven of Pentacles, which feels like it's giving background, that this is about something that you had been sort of growing this thing within your life, like giving your energy to it, showing up for it. Having the Death card indicates that there is a very big shift, a very big change that's happening, and also that there's an expansion too, because Death speaks about elevating. And Death is also about accepting what's now done, what are we finished with, and being able to wrap our heads around that, being able to admit that, and being willing to go with the flow here of that. What must be done. Page of Pentacles in the World. There can be a part of you that's having a hard time allowing this to happen. I think from a place of willingness, It's a time when the death card comes through and you need to trade something in, like if you want to have what the Ten of Cups will provide for you. But there can also be just a difficult time doing this. There can be this feeling even of, do I want to keep settling for something out of fear because I don't want to do what needs to be done to release myself from this? Because there can be really a big avoidance of pain here. But there can be a bigger undertaking that's happening where we realize that it's really a small price to pay when it comes to what you'll get on the other side of this, like what you'll be able to cultivate within your life. And these are just the practical things that need to be done. These are the baby steps that need to be done here with Page of Pentacles in the world. This feels like you're learning how to embrace the energy of the death card and also Saturn, because Saturn is going to have to do with stuff within the 3D that you're actually moving around with, like things where you're physically showing up or like physically putting your time and your energy into things, and basically learning when something is actually completed. Even though it can be difficult to do that, you can be, you know, going through school, and then you're going to be graduating and you're going to be going to a different school after that, and it feels like that's sort of what's happening here with this. And yes, it can be really difficult to say goodbye. It can feel very difficult, you know, you're not going to be doing that anymore, the familiarity and all of those things that we were connected with. At the same time, it's time to graduate. And so this is simultaneously a happy thing as well. Yet it can feel difficult, it can feel difficult to do. And there can be a part of you that's just having a hard time letting go here. This is about investing in what you want now, rather than holding on to something that was but is no longer in as high of resonance, in as much resonance as what you have going on. I feel like what's been brought to your attention, actually, at this point. If you want to invest in your Ten of Cups, it feels like this is just what's required of you right now at this point. From everything that I'm seeing though, this looks like you're doing it. I'm actually seeing these, yeah. This looks like you're doing what needs to be done here with this. Could have happened like a little bit abruptly, is what this feels like. We have Page of Pentacles, and this kind of feels like if you're really focused on this Ten of Cups for you, which is this, my life feels good. It doesn't just look good on the outside. This is about how it feels to me, and if things are feeling right, if this really works for me. Having Page of Pentacles feels like the actual practical steps that need to be taken in order for you to do this. Taking the initiative here. Closing out what needs to close out. Recognizing that this is difficult, and simultaneously it's necessary for this because you are graduating, which means that you're going to be entering into basically like the next system of things. Investment in yourself, investment in your Ten of Cups. This is actually a very big win for you, because it means that something that you weren't meant to, it wasn't meant to have your energy anymore. And this is also a recognition of that. And so you pull your energy out of it, which allows this to close out, so you can actually close this door behind you. You could have also felt like something wasn't enough, or it wasn't as much. Something about that. I think this feels to me like in the past, when it came to things that needed to be closed out, you could have really avoided doing those things. You could have really avoided having to bring something to a 10 to allow it to turn into a next chapter. There could have been a lot of putting that off because of being unwilling to sort of face that. And we have our reasons for doing it too. It can feel really painful. It can be having to sort of come to terms with everything. And psychologically, we can be like, I'm not ready for it. I'm not ready for it. And now it feels like there's strength in this for you. Having the Death card feels like there's something going on in your psyche that's being cultivated, that's being nurtured right now, that is allowing you to sort of call your power back to you, which will be reflected in the choices that you make. And this feels like a choice that you're making. And it does feel like this embracing of, I'm in a place where I'm getting better at seeing when something is actually finished without somebody else having to do it. I'm tuning into the rhythms and the signs. And this means too that you're tapping into your Mars energy as well, which is going to have you doing something that you feel like you need to do here. There can definitely be a little bit of a fear about this. If I'm closing this out, what if wherever I go to next also isn't enough? Because maybe something that you have going on, you feel like you can kind of get by on it, but it looks to me like where it is that you're going, there can be a little bit of a feeling of limitation here. And that can throw you off a bit. I almost get this feeling of, it's not like you were getting nothing that you needed from this thing that you're potentially closing out. Some of you already have closed this out. Others of you, you're going to be closing this out. Because even though I'm seeing this, it's difficult to do this. Part of me feels hesitant. It looks very much like it's still happening, like you're still going to do it, regardless of how difficult it is. For those of you that you haven't done this yet, what I'm seeing is that because it's not like you weren't getting anything from where you had been, it looks like this notion of, if I'm walking away from something that did provide me with something, and I wonder for some of you if there was like an area of your life that this could have been providing you with something that you did enjoy and that you have liked and that is compatible with you, but there's a missing component that is that internal component of things. Because what I'm seeing with the energy is that, like when I'm splitting the deck over here, I'm seeing 6 of Pentacles and I'm seeing 5 of Pentacles, and the way that this is looking is like if you're being provided with something physically, which can be like resources, we can say, with 6 of Pentacles. So if you're getting resources and they're more external resources, there can be this feeling within you of, if I'm really tuning in and listening to what's going on emotionally for me, and I am listening to that, what if then I don't have what I need? And you can be facing this feeling of, let's say, I feel like an example would be easier for this. Let's say that somebody gives you, you get $100 a day doing something, and that's what you need to pay for the things that you need to pay and to be able to live this life that you want to live. Meanwhile, you feel like this is really not it for you on an internal level. So yeah, you can afford the things that you want externally. There can be this feeling of, if I really call this, if I really allow this to close out, if I really accept this, I'm going to be out $100 a day. And you can feel like you need to do this for yourself on an internal level, but you're going to have to work then with that part of yourself, or you're going to feel sort of like you're forced to face that part of yourself that can feel like basically all of the places that you limit yourself or feel like, is it going to be possible to still like live the life that I want to live, or still like things be sustainable? You basically have to work with that part of yourself that can feel very attached to pentacle type things, and also working with that part of yourself that can really limit things out of fear for you. There can be this this is something that you're going to have to put faith in too, and there can be a part of you that is really struggling with that because maybe you lean more on physically what you're seeing play out, and there's less of a reliance so much on what's going on internally for you, and it's why it's been so easy to ignore this in the past. But imagine that you step into a situation that not only does it give you $100 or more a day, but also too, you then feel at peace with it because it feels compatible with where you are internally. So imagine you can actually have both of those things, but this means that there's going to have to be a working with that part of you that feels fear about going through a change, and being like, am I going to struggle because of that? And then feeling like that completely pushes you in the other direction. It's like this, it feels like this attachment to the 3D physical stuff. Not that there's nothing wrong with that. That also is part of everything, but it's not the only part. And if there's an overemphasis on that, and it's very fear-driven, there's going to be a lack of color in the other parts of your life, which is what you're feeling right now. So this feels like something that has just been a very cyclical thing here with this. There's stuff that's going on that you can get to the point to be like, I don't want this to happen again. I want this to be the last time. And that will be when you make that call. That will be when you're ready. This can also be about understanding the importance of that part of yourself and being motivated by the part of yourself that wants to feel good, that wants to feel safe, you know, emotionally, psychologically. Yeah, I'm definitely getting this from what I'm seeing. You may need to end something that part of it does work, but there's a whole other piece that's really important that doesn't work within this, and it means that like you're gonna be moving into a whole upgraded situation. Because what this feels like is that ultimately something if you have a couple different scales and they're all about different things, like one of them can be about resources, but then there can be an emotional scale. Then there can be a scale about getting the type of communication that you need. maybe one of those scales is balance, but this feels like actually, like you may be realizing more about your values at this point in time, but it has to do with, this has to do with like your Venus and your moon values is what this feels like to me. It feels like it has to do with your values that are about your emotional stuff and psychological stuff, like those things actually that you need. Because you may be aware of certain values that you have when it comes to like physically what you want, when it comes to resources, but when it comes to what you're looking for on an emotional level and how you want to feel about the life that you're living, it looks like that's something that you're learning how to merge these two energies, that they don't have to be these separate things. They can actually be something that's merged together, but it also means closing out things that need to be closed out, and it can be really difficult to do that. Because I do feel like in some way you were benefiting from what was going on, but you can feel like there's another part of you that's a very important part of you that was not benefiting from this, that was actually feeling like you were somewhere that you weren't supposed to be. And you would know that by the tension, you would know that by the friction, you would know that by the difficulty of that, you would know that by the lack of flow, by the lack of ease, by the same thing again and again and again and again. Because this isn't just like there's a problem and we need to solve it and then you're actually getting somewhere. This is like, this is a problem that remains, and actually like nothing that's been happening is getting anywhere. Like this isn't going to be something that will change. So you're just going to be repeating that again and again, and you can get to the point where you don't want to do that anymore. So ultimately you get to make a decision about like what you're investing in, but also realizing too that if you choose to stay within something that's not internally aligned for you, you're investing in something that's not internally aligned, and that's why you're getting what you're getting. I do feel like there's some stuff that's sort of clicking into place, but the part of you that's resistant to allowing everything to click into place finally, I feel like you have most of the puzzle there, but there are maybe like 2 or 3 pieces that you don't have yet that need to fit in, and it's the part of you that is resistant to the Death card. It is that part of you that doesn't want to let go, don't want to have to face maybe the adversity that is required when you go through the Death card, the shedding, that feeling of loss, that feeling of insecurity even that we can be feeling because of the attachments that are basically being brought to light, the things that are being highlighted. But this isn't attachments that you have to what is, it's attachments that you have to what isn't. And that's why we can have a hard time seeing that. Because if you want something to be other than it is, but you're not admitting to yourself what it is, it's that attachment to actually seeing. Because if we did fully allow ourselves to see what it is, it would be like no question anymore. There would be this embracing of the Death card. This is about personal transformation and about your personal life is what I'm seeing. Like what do you need? What do you want? On a personal level, on an individual level. That can also be why this is difficult too, because the things like your self-esteem can be tied to this. If you feel like you're not worthy of being happy within your life, you're not worthy of things working out for you, you're going to keep yourself in situations that are reflective of that. You know, being treated in ways that you don't want to be treated, what you're experiencing is going to be reflective of that, because what's going on inside is what you're going to see reflected externally. So there can actually be stuff coming up. You know, it can be this, Like, I believe that somebody feeling connected within their life and being joyful within their life is a luxury, and that's just not possible for me, and this is just what I have to deal with. And you keep telling yourself that, and that is what your story will reflect. The relationship between what's going on with your moon energy, what's going on emotionally, and then what you are, the physical steps that you are taking, the steps that you are taking within your life, the action that you're taking within your life, and what you're investing in within your life, and how those things connect with one another. Where you are with things emotionally, what you're understanding, the depth that you're going to or not going to emotionally, to allow yourself to fully sort of step into that, and then what you're doing and what you're playing out. I do feel like this is almost a little bit of, this can be a part of your life that you feel like you're beginning to work on, but you don't necessarily feel like an expert. Not that you need to be, like, you've been working on other things. This feels like what's happening now is realizing the importance of your moon energy. Stuff like repressed emotions can be coming up too. And I think also ultimately unconscious energies that you're becoming more aware of, and also self-sabotage that you may have labeled as something else but ultimately is. But what I'm seeing is that things are really moving and things are really working. There's just this part of yourself that you are working with that doesn't want to budge here, that can be having a really hard time because you're holding on to things so tightly. Again, like out of fear, this feeling of doing that, and then feeling like stuff is locked up because of it. And this is going to allow things to flow, and is going to actually allow you to reach what you're trying to reach and experience what you hope to experience, that it is possible. All right, my friends, we are going to leave the reading here. I'd like to thank everyone for connecting. Thank you for tuning in. I'm sending everybody love, and I hope to catch you guys next time.